Hey, everybody, how's it going? It's Ryan here and Luke. Welcome to the first episode of Be a Better Human. Thank you for tuning in. We're very excited to launch this. We've been talking about it, Luke and I, for quite a while now, and it's been days and weeks and months in the making. So we're very excited to get this off the ground and help make the world a better place. So I'd like to start off by just doing a little bit of an intro because there's people that are going to tune in from people who are connected to Luke that don't know me and people that are connected to me that don't know Luke. So just wanted to do a little bit of a Cole's Notes intro for both of us. Um, I am the sales manager, and my family owns a music store called Music City and PA Shop. I've been working there for 25 years with my family, and it's been an exciting ride. That's how me and Luke predominantly know each other. Luke, as a front of house sound engineer, among many other wonderful things for my father's company, PA Shop Productions. Um, for those that also don't know, for me, with my journey, me and Luca both had similar journeys throughout life. Somewhat, in some cases different, in some cases the same. Um, but I've done keto and intermittent fasting now for over 2 years. Successfully have has kept off um, 80 pounds plus pounds. So that's been exciting. I've also the last year and a half been getting into all types of things to do with body toxicity. So that's been exciting to learn all about what kind of toxins are in our foods, our health products, our personal products, to try and better educate for myself, my family, my daughter, and the people around me. And to be honest, one of the reasons why me and Luke thought it would be good to start there today. Luke, why don't you give a little intro yourself?
All right. Thanks, Ryan. So as Ryan said, we've been working on this for several weeks now, even months. And in terms of my own journey, really it started for me in 2007, 2008 when I was diagnosed with Crohn's disease, and it's been quite a journey for me myself. And I've tried every diet there is, tons of different supplement regimes, and um, right now I'm experimenting a lot with a carnivore diet, and for me that's the main thing, and just some really basic supplements, and in terms of mindset, in terms of um, just being positive, high vibe, and strong. That's where it's really taken me, and that's what brings me here today. So, nice quick intro, and we'll just get right into it.
Absolutely. Let's do that. So, first of all, just want to let everybody know. We'll let everyone know this in every episode, but just so everyone knows, what me and Luke are here for is to help make the world a better place, to bring positivity, to bring love, community, empathy, and all those amazing things that we need at this time, especially at this time. But one thing we are not is doctors, and the information that you're going to hear in this podcast is not medical advice. We just want to let you know that it is based on personal experience, and not what works for one person may not work for another. So obviously with the things that we're telling you, take all of it, use what you will. What works for you is it would be great. If you do have any concerns, please consult a physician or a naturopathic doctor, or whoever you based on who you go see. You can do that. Um, that being said, what you're going to hear in these episodes is what we like to call real and raw, um, because both Luke and I, using the words of my father, we shoot from the hip, and that's what I've always valued in people that I've dealt with in my work life, in my personal life. I really gravitate towards people who are real and raw, and me and Luke were both involved in a live stream show that we did um, uh, back in, what was it, Luke, December,
Hmm.
um, for the Mom and Caregiver magazine here in London, and that was a real and raw um, segment that we did there. Luke was stage manager, and I was on the show, and it was a really great experience to do something real and raw that really affects people and really helps people. So we thought it would be good to start a live show that me and Luke could help continue to spread the message to the world. So that being said, want to get into a little bit about the journey, Luke, that sort of you've been on, because I think you've done a tremendous amount of research on everything from food to supplements to um, frequency and vibration and all kinds of amazing things. But
Hmm.
I'm sure everybody listening right now is concerned about what's going on in the world. And I just want everyone to know the things we're going to talk about in this episode are going to dramatically help you um, with many different aspects of what's going on right now. Again, take from it what you will. Me and Luke have done a tremendous amount of research over the last 3 weeks as to what this thing to help protect you against it as much as possible. So, Luke, why don't you jump in on talking about sort of your health journey and telling us some of the things that sugar, alcohol, all the things that and we shouldn't do or should do right now specifically, and why.
Yeah, well, first off, what I don't see a lot of out there are healthcare and medical professionals talking about the importance of just being having a baseline of health in general. And like to me, that's the fundamental key to all of this. And I don't think it's a surprise to anyone that alcohol, sugar, um,
Carbs in general.
carbs in general, anything that's going to cause insulin to spike, anything that's going to cause inflammation in the body, like viruses will actually feed on sugar. And again, we're not medical professionals here ourselves. We're not doctors, but like we've experimented a lot, and I've certainly experimented a lot over the years. Um, the biggest thing for for me is like one problem that I've had in the past is stress eating. And right now, obviously, a lot of people are isolated, they're stuck at home, they're not getting out in the sun, and it's really easy to get caught in a loop. You're not really on a schedule so much unless you're forcing yourself into it. So a lot of it is really based in mindset, and like you can have all of the intentions in the world to eat really clean and eat really healthy. And in general, like a lot of people can do that in a low stress environment, but like now is the real test. Like this is a real test in terms of what we've done in the past to build up our own health, what we've done in the past to uh, get certain toxins out of the body, get the body working well, get the body into a state of autophagy at points, which you can do through fasting, which you can do, like either intermittent fasting or extended fasting. You're basically trying to clean the body, clean the toxins out of the body, so that like if you would imagine that you have a certain, and this will resonate with people in the live production realm, a lot of our friends. If you have a limited number of crew to take care of setting up a show, if you're tasking all of those crew with going around and cleaning up a venue, you're not setting up the stage, you're not setting up this and that. So you want a clean slate to start from. So like that's really accomplished with fasting and intermittent fasting and just generally eating clean for an extended amount of time. And you also want, in terms of a baseline, you want to make sure that your body's getting enough nutrients and supplements. You want high density nutrient food. And one thing that I found was, while I'm consuming carbs and sugar and stuff like that, and this is just me, I definitely know a lot of people would agree with this, but it's mental clarity, and it's also the ability to control cravings and stuff like that. So going back to stress eating, especially at a time like this. Like, you don't want to have to be fighting your gut microbiome in terms of what it can do to hijack your vagus nerve and stuff like that, which is going to make you want to crave sugars. And it's a huge asset in times like this where you don't have that craving. And even if you're stressed out, you don't have, like, even if you're craving to comfort eat, you're not actually going to be craving sugar. You're not actually going to be craving carbs. For example, tonight I was just craving a big steak, which I feel extremely clean in my body. It's really clean, but more so in terms of my ability to think clear and remain positive in any sort of situation. Um, it really is advantageous at this point because like, I'm able to eat basically whatever I want whenever I want, and not have to worry about spiking insulin, not have to worry about creating a toxic load in the body. And then I'll go for 12 or 16 hours before I eat again, allowing the body to clear out, clean out, and along the way there's some basic supplements like magnesium, like vitamin C, collagen. Um, there's chaga mushroom is extremely important right now. We'll get deeper into all of these things individually, but just in terms of a baseline, um, like, I've had quite a number of people reach out to me over the last few weeks, and like, it's something that I've noticed people saying is that I've continually just um, a source of positivity and strength in a time of uncertainty and fear. And it's
Yeah.
no, like, it's no accident. Like, this has been years in the making in terms of building up a body and building up a low toxicity and getting the brain working properly. And at some point we're going to bring our good friend Chris Wiley on, who's a brain transformation specialist. And so, different techniques and tactics that we can use to keep positive, even in the most stressful times, even in the most demanding times, and also to be able to eat in terms of fueling the brain and fueling the body are of, like, the utmost importance. And I don't know if you want
Absolutely.
to add to
Yeah,
that.
absolutely. So, in my 2 and a bit years of doing keto, obviously keto became a big fad for a long time, right? And and still, I mean, it's not top of mind right now, obviously, but for most people. But I have a lot of people come to me and say, "Hey, how can I get into ketosis?" Or, "Hey, I've been doing keto and I've lost 20 pounds, but I hit a wall." Or the thing I want to start off with is the one there where, how do I do keto, right? Because there's a million people talking about the negative things of keto, but that's dirty keto. So lots of people have questions, and there's just a million things that you can read on the internet. 90% of which is not necessarily right. Um, uh, I can talk based on my journey, and it's very relevant to what's going on right now because when we all said, "Hey," when the prime minister said, "Hey, stay home," the average working person doesn't stay home on a Tuesday. So everyone went, "Wow, what am I going to do?" Like, you had to, sort of figure out one by one what you were going to do, and how you were going to do it. How are you going to do your work from home? How are you going to live stream your DJ set? Or how are you going to? There's all kinds of people trying to reinvent themselves right now in many ways, and your body and your mind and the body and the food you eat it's all part of it. And I think that's something important to touch on, is start with one thing at a time, no different than what you're doing right now with everything else in your life. I started with pop. As everyone knows, pop is not good for you. I eliminated pop long before I started keto. I eliminated pop over a year before I started keto. Um, but there was a period of my life in the early 2000s where I was drinking almost a case of pop a day. And I'm not afraid to admit that. I didn't have any clue. I mean, of course, everyone told me that pop wasn't good for me, but it tastes so good. But it's not just not good for you; it's actually poisonous in high levels, right? I'm sure everybody's seen the the penny thing with glass of Coke.
Mm.
Um, it's so much more than that, and we won't get into it on this episode, or we'll be here all night. But um, start with one thing. Just start with one thing. Pick one thing that's got high amounts of sugar or high carbs, and just eliminate it for a little while, and then pick something else, and just keep going. That's my advice
Hmm.
with this, really, to get started in
Baby
terms of
steps.
yeah, in terms of food. That's how you start. And you don't go cold turkey, because you know what, that's not real, and you'll be right back to stress eating, like Luke said, or you'll be right back to doing the things you thought you didn't want to do in no time, because it's not reasonable that you can go from living your life for however many years, decades and decades, one way, eating a certain way at certain times, and then all of a sudden just boom. I mean, yeah, maybe some people have that kind of willpower, but as I've come to learn, uh, not everybody does. And I've had many people come to me that I've tried to help and coach in what I've done to help them. And that's one of the main things that I've learned, is that not everybody has the willpower to go cold turkey with this type of thing.
Hmm.
So start with one thing at a time and move forward. And then the other thing I'd like to touch on, Luke, that you were talking about, was the positivity. Um, uh, the biggest thing everybody has to realize is that um, the currency for this whole thing, everybody's bought into it, the media, the governments, everybody, is fear, right? And it's interesting to me, because people die every day all across the world. And um, we don't really think about that. We don't think about the amounts of people that die every day all over the world in all of these countries, and all the different ways that they die. I mean, cancer has been a pandemic, as far as I'm concerned, forever.
Hmm.
And but that being said, it's not what we're here to talk about. What we're here to talk about is positivity. Um, and and that's just part of it. And what I'd like to elaborate on is that remaining positive isn't just for you; it's for everybody around you. Because whether you want to believe it or not, your emotions affect other people, right? Your energy affects other people. So if you can be positive and continue to create community, which is another key piece, right? Reach out through whatever app or through whatever means, even just on the phone. Reach out to people in your life, the people that you love, the people that you spent a dramatic amount of time with at work every day that now you don't see. um, Still have some of those water cooler conversations, but stay positive. Don't focus on the negative. If you give energy to this thing, it will gladly take it. Trust me. If you stay positive and you focus on your family, you focus on your work, you focus on all the things you would have focused on had this not been going on, and you don't give it any energy at all, guess what? Things will change, dramatically change very quickly.
Hmm.
Uh, and the reason is because right now, as an entire world, as one world, Bob Marley made a song about that. Um, but as one world, we are focused on one thing right now, and we're giving it global energy right now. If we start to focus on each other as communities, as families, as tribes, if we start to focus on the positivity, the community, the empathy, that we all have, and the love, right? Those are the four pillars right there. One, two, three, four. So positivity, love, empathy, community. Not necessarily in that order. In
Hmm.
fact, I think right now there's a lot of people out in the world that are lacking some empathy. I see a lot of posts about people doing not so great things, or saying not so great things, or I think we need to focus on what's important. And what's important is that I'll never forget. I'll give credit where credit's due. I was at the shop before we shut it down with a guy who works for us named Bungie. Bungie's a guitar tech for the Bare Naked Ladies. He works in our London guitar shop. Bungie was leaving the office and he said, "Hey, listen, man, at the end of the day, we survived the plague." And I went, yeah, you know what? He's right. Now, that being said, I get it. It's not the plague and it's different. I totally understand. The thing is, we're human and we have to remember that. We have to remember that we're human and we're part of this planet too. And if we work together and we stay positive, we've done some incredible things as humans over the years as we've evolved, and we can do it again. We can. I believe in everyone out there. I believe that people are good. I believe deep down in every person there's some good. Sometimes through all kinds of insane means, it can be pushed down in some people. Everyone's met some of those people, but I do believe that in all humans there is good deep down. It just takes something dramatic to affect them to bring it out in some cases. But in many cases, many of the people listening to this are good people and want to remain to be good people, and they feel fear and they feel threatened. Don't, don't decide today. Say, listen, you know what? There's things I can't control and there's things I can control. What you can control right here, right now, is you can control your positivity. You can control all those things. You can. You just have to manifest that instead of focusing on the negative. Focus on the positive. And it might mean that you have to get out there and, ride, do things that, normally you wouldn't do at this time. And I say get out there, but of course, what I mean by that is not necessarily outside your house, because of course we're all supposed to be in somewhat safe. That's self isolation. Um, and I say most of us because there are many people, a bunch of which I know. Again, want to give credit where credit is due, that are on the front lines right now. One of my good friends is working in the ICU at Victoria Hospital here in London, and I check up with him every day, or at least I try to get to message him. I want to make sure that these people are doing okay, because they're out there in the front lines, and it's they need our support too. Um, everybody, this is we're working on this together. This is everybody together, and we can either focus all of our power and energy together negatively or positively. And I'm choosing positive, and Luke is as well, and that's why we're here. So we're really excited again to start off our first episode by being able to bring you some Coles notes and some light duty stuff. And as we go through the episodes, we absolutely will bring on Chris Wiley. For those of you that don't know Chris was just on the show Big Brother. Of course, because of the pandemic, they had to wind it down, but he's off the show and he's safe and sound. And we look forward to bringing him on. He's an absolute scholar and a gentleman, and he is as one of the most enlightened people I know.
Mhm.
And he will change the world in my lifetime in some way, shape, or form. I guarantee. And I hope he can change your life through Be a Better Human, and through um, his thing that him and Luke have been working on. Chris does one-on-one sessions. Um, he does corporate events. He does all kinds of stuff where he works with people for sales training, for personal development. But look forward to having him on. So make sure you keep looking on the Facebook. We'll announce when we'll have Chris on in the next little while. Um, we all don't have a lot of places to go, so I expect that we'll have him on soon.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to sort of pull out of what you were saying, Luke. I think that those are the fundamentals right now of what people need and are looking for. Um, and I've been the one thing I did want to touch on as well is I know there's a lot of people out there that I've seen on Facebook make comments, and I've had even a couple send me some messages um, saying that they're suffering from depression, they're suffering from um, anxiety, they're suffering from all kinds of issues. And why don't you speak to some of that for us on what those people should do with regards to that?
Yeah. Well, first of all, like now's a time of great opportunity, and it's all how we frame it, right? So we can frame it and look at it as like, like um, like you said, looking and focusing on the negative and the fear, or we can rise up and use this time of great challenge and adversity to really step up our creativity, our ingenuity, and solve problems. Like I've heard a lot of entrepreneurs really stepping up, and it's going to be up to us to fix this and to get through it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like it's like uh, as much as some of us would like to hope, there's no sort of like white knight riding in on a horse to save us. It's up to us individually and collectively. In terms of dealing with anxiety and depression, it's the easiest way. Like again, like for someone like Chris Wiley, like he's kind of the go-to guy that I would say. Like this is coming from myself dealing with a long seated issue with anxiety in my life, and you know just a little quick story, a little further backstory on myself. I actually was in and out of different therapy for about 10 years. Some different modalities, different therapists. So it's been a lot of money. and and so 10 years through it, I learned a lot, and it was very exciting, very interesting. I learned a lot about myself and my past and my childhood and parenting and a whole bunch of stuff. But at the end of the day, I kept asking, actually, when do I actually get rid of the anxiety? When do I feel better? And it never materialized. So fast forward a few years, I actually met Chris Wiley and did a few different sessions with him. He found that I had an old concussion injury that was lingering around, which he helped me fix in literally a few days. And that was from when I was about 10 years old playing hockey. And I just fixed that when I was about 30 something, 33 maybe. And excuse me, just take a drink here.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
And so he in a 40-minute session, um, eliminated or helped me learn the steps to eliminate my own anxiety. And it was basically just an issue with with poor planning, because what I was doing was focusing again on the negative, the fear, the anxiety, the unknown. And while I was doing that, I was making very clear pictures and plans in my mind. And if you think about learning how to drive a car, we don't like when I was young, a fellow kind of took me under his wing and taught me how to drive after. Like my dad really showed me how to drive, but something that really stuck with me was this fella taking me out, and he's like, "You want to look ahead at the open road where you want to go. Like, don't worry about the curves. Don't worry about like the tree over there. Don't worry about the car that's coming at you 100 miles an hour on the other side of the little yellow line. Don't worry about any of that stuff. You can't really control him. You can't control where the trees are, but what you can do is control where you're focusing." And that's the same with anxiety. So the anxiety would be akin to the tree, and you never just want to look at a tree that you want to avoid hitting. You simply just look at the open road ahead. So all we need to do is focus on that positive aspect. And this is where Chris really comes in terms of being able to um, fundamentally is using neurolinguistic programming and other neuroscience technology and tactics and of course different techniques and stuff that he's developed himself over the years, treating I guess at this point it would be in the thousands of people, including autistic children and people with severe PTSD and depression and anxiety and all this other stuff. So he has a lot of experience dealing with that kind of thing. and he's the master at being able to like really go into the deep programming of your brain and help you basically create the steps and learn the steps and practice the steps in order to focus where you want to go. And
I
like
like
that's
that analogy.
yeah,
So
like and that's a big key, right? You know, you, a lot of us are getting really focused on like, oh my goodness, the numbers are exponential and this is happening and that's happening and all these people, the media is saying this and these people are saying this and all the people on Facebook are posting these things. And like like on one side of the coin they're saying this, on the other side of it, like there's a whole bunch of stuff, there's a whole bunch of trees lining the road, and you can get caught up in really focusing on them, or you can just simply look straight ahead where you want to go and focus on that. And that's where creating, like the visualizing and using these different techniques. And for sure, we're going to go into it, and you can check out, like right now, if you, the easiest way right now is the Game Changer Chris Wiley on Instagram, or the GameChangerChrisWiley.com. There's lots of videos and techniques and little things that you can do to actionably work on that kind of stuff. And I definitely encourage you to go do that, because I simply don't know anyone who's helped as many people as Chris has.
it's
And
and just to further that, Luke. I mean,
hmm
I did some sessions with Chris as well, and he's definitely helped me in many ways. Um, there's things about myself I straight up didn't know until I worked with him and did some brain mapping and did some stuff. So definitely 100%. And I really like, I just want to touch on for a second. I really like the analogy of the looking ahead in the car thing. Um, it makes me think of something that happened to me just the other day. I Last week I was out getting groceries, and I stopped at a variety store, and my neighbor was at the variety store and on his bike. He's a young guy, and he said, I said, "Hey, what are you up to?" "Well, I'm bored. There's nothing to do. I'm bored." And I thought, really? Like, I've
how
got
can you
lots
be
to do,
bored
man.
at a time like this?
But there are people who are bored, and I've seen it, right?
Hmm
And this is so I just said, "Listen, why don't you learn how to play guitar?" And he looks at me, and he's not that kind of guy usually. He cuts people's lawns, and he's a very hands-on guy, but he doesn't play any instruments. And I mean, I'm obviously biased, having been in the business for 25 years. But I said to him, I said, "Why don't you get a guitar or piano?" And he goes, "Well, I don't even know where to get one." And I went, "Well, I got my family owns a music store. I can probably get you one." "Really?" Um, and this is the thing. I mean, this kid's, there's been a number of times where he shoveled my driveway, cut my grass. He doesn't even know I own a music store, and this is my neighbor.
hmm
So, this is the thing, is that when you're talking about focusing ahead or focusing on things, focus on something new. Focusing on something new, and something new may be as simple as getting to know your neighbor better. It could be learning a guitar, right? I think him and I both learned something in that conversation.
hmm
And I think it's very relevant to what you're saying, Luke. And I think that for us, it's a matter of uh focusing on something other than the negative, focusing on getting away from focusing on the thing that they want us to focus on,
hmm
and focus on something that takes your mind off the negative and gets you onto a positive journey. um and only you can do that. I mean, people like Chris can help to get you there,
hmm
but only, it's just like the food thing, right? It's just like the supplement thing. It's like anything, right? If somebody wants to learn how to fly a plane, right? I mean, this is one of the things that I part of how we got the name for this podcast was that I was working on a 1 hour talk called Be a Better Human. And one of the things in that talk that I tell people is that we spend more time as humans learning how to do certain things, whether it's how to run a piece of software, how to use Instagram, how to drive a car, how to fly a plane. We spend a dramatic amount of time as humans learning these things, And yet we don't spend a dramatic amount of time learning how our bodies work and operate, and the
Hmm.
things that we should or shouldn't do with our bodies to make them better fueled machines, right? Or better, better fueled individuals. And I think that that's interesting. I've thought that's interesting now. Like I said, I've been researching body toxicity for the last year and a half or so. And I can't believe how many people don't understand what neurotoxins are. And I obviously, again, I get that the average person isn't doing this kind of research, but people don't understand that there are things in your food that break your blood brain barrier. They don't know it, and they eat it every week. Every week, people are eating things that break the blood brain barrier, something that's not supposed to happen. And it's just interesting to me that people don't know this, right? And that marketing and, labels and, the right wording and all this kind of stuff covers it all up. And I think it all plays. I think it's all relevant to mental health. And I think that, as you start to go down some of these rabbit holes and you start to uncover the truths, and I think the truths are very important. The truth is important to every human. Everyone will tell you, oh, I don't believe him, he's lying. Right? The truth is important to everyone, so know the truth. Right? If you
Hmm.
still choose to eat chips or eat things that you know aren't bad for you, I'm good with it. It's fine. Right?
Hmm.
But
Yeah,
just
just know
be
what you're
informed.
doing.
Just be informed.
Hmm.
Know the truth. Know what's going on, and do your research, because again, there's a bulk of information out there through all kinds of mediums that isn't necessarily true. So do your research. Do lots of it. Get multiple sources. And like Luke said earlier, experiment. Try things. Right? I said it right at the beginning. The things that work for me and Luke may not work for you, or the things that don't work for us might work for you.
Hmm.
So just start. You have the time right now. Just start trying different things with your diet, with your supplements, with your do the research. Here, I'll challenge everybody. Here's a challenge. Take something out of your fridge that has a whole bunch of different ingredients on it that you don't recognize, and just start Googling the names. Just start researching those chemicals and seeing what they are, right? I mean, I've been buying products like that for years. So just go in your fridge, grab something, and start researching those things that names you can't even pronounce. And then come back and shoot me and Luke a message and let us know what you found. Um, and it'll be an interesting journey that you'll go down. And I hope you do. I really honestly do. And again, even if after you do it, you're like, those guys don't know nothing, whatever. I'm still gonna have my thing. It's like, yeah, that's cool. No
Yeah.
problem. But I
Well, and
just
it's
want
like
everybody to
anything
be
else.
sure.
When you know the rules, then you know where you can break them and where maybe it's not so wise to break them, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and you start to figure things out, right? It all starts to become very apparently clear. Um, but you have to do that research. I think, parents try to, I've experienced this several times, many times in my life now with um, all kinds of people out there that I've come into contact with, where parents I do it with my own child. I try to shelter her from all the negative things in the world. And I think every parent, of course, tries to do that. But there is a point where, um, whether it's children or your spouse or your friends, where they have to learn for themselves, because they won't learn from you. You can tell them till they're blue in the face, but they're on a different part of their journey. So they're not listening to you necessarily because they're not ready yet. Their mindset isn't in the right spot. So as you start to go down this journey with me and Luke, and if you choose to do it, you'll find this. You'll find that as you're going down these rabbit holes, that people aren't necessarily going to listen to what you're saying on 100%, because they're not where you are. And so I've had some great mentors. I've had some great people inspire me. My brother, helped get me kicked off on keto, and certainly a good host of a number of other people who've helped me. My wife, who's an incredible human being, and she's she's got all kinds of different things under her belt, and but she's been a huge source of info for me, and she's not afraid to tell me when I'm not doing the right thing. And Luke, I mean, you've been a great help for me as well, and Chris Wiley, lots of people. I could go on all night, but I mean, it's just that's the thing. Try to surround yourself with these types of people too. Try to surround yourself with positive people. Like that's another piece of the puzzle,
Hmm.
right? Surround yourself with people who are positive. Surround yourself, and again, I say surround yourself, but right now we're in isolation. So guess what? Get on Zoom, get on Facebook, get on wherever you got to get on, and talk to these people. Just have a conversation, and and you know, let that positive energy help you, um, because I think again, I think it all plays. I think it all helps us move past the negative stuff in our lives. And I know that someone reached out to me recently that lost someone, and uh, and I know actually several people who've recently lost someone, and obviously we're going through a time where that's going to continue to happen, and it is, a negative thing, and all of that. But I did something very interesting, about a couple of years ago. Um, Someone really close to me lost their stepmom, and uh, we uh, we were working on music that night, and we wrote a song. Well, I wrote lyrics to a song. He was playing on the piano, um, and it was the first time I ever wrote a song that was about death. It was a positive song about death. It was the I say weird, but it wasn't even weird. It was just I literally wrote it in 12 minutes. It just came out of me, and I think that experience helped me a lot understand that uh, the person on the other end, you're longing and missing that person. That person wouldn't want you to hurt, right? That person would want you to to deal with it in your own way, but they would want you to move on and live your life and be positive and do incredible things, life-changing things. So I think it's really important that people understand that from death, which for anyone out there, of course, we all know eventually we're all going to die, and so I've realized uh, that it's very important to make sure that you do things in your life while you're still here. Treat every day as a gift, and do things in your life that are positive, that 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 affect people in a positive way. And some people will go on to do global life changing things with your time here. Some people will do things that just dramatically affect you personally, or your family, or your friends, or your workers. But I think that no matter what it is, it's important to someone. It's important because I live by one of the principles I live by is everybody's opinion is relevant,
Hmm.
because it's relevant to them, right? So therefore everybody's opinion is relevant. And I think every piece of positive change you can make in the world is relevant. It's relevant to someone, and it's going to help someone. So that's what I have to say about that for the and thank you for the people that reached out to me before the episode about those things, because again, they're not easy to talk about, but they're very important at this time. And I think that we can get through this together. And for anyone out there that's having a rough go right now, please feel free to reach out to me and Luke at any time. We're here for you.
Hmm.
Um, you know, you're part of our tribe now too. So, we want to make sure that everybody out there is got the help they need, whether it's Luke or me or Chris or a host of health professionals and people out there that can help you. Me and Luke and my wife, we know many people between us, and you know I like to think that the business that me and Luke are in, the entertainment business, we joke all the time that there's such thing in regular life as the 6 degrees of separation, and we'd say that in the music business it's two.
Especially
So
in Canada.
especially in Canada. So yeah, I'd like to I'd like to put it out there, that to anybody out there that and if there's going to be people watching this for the next little while that are going to have questions and stuff. Feel free to post the questions. You can feel free to message us privately too as well if you want, because we know that sometimes asking questions publicly on our page isn't necessarily what people want. So
Mhm.
feel free to shoot us a Facebook message privately as well, and we can cover it in the next episode. And this is a journey, folks. This is just gonna keep evolving over time. What we're doing here. So, um, if something in this episode strikes you and you want to put something out there to us, put something out there to us. Just gonna look through the comments here, Luke, really quickly. Um,
Yeah, and we'll start wrapping it up in the next few minutes. So if anyone does have any questions or any comments they'd like to share, we'll definitely field some questions now. If not,
yeah,
we can wrap for a little bit longer here. Um, but yeah, I see Brendan says thanks for sending out the good vibes, dude.
Brennan's a good
You're,
dude. We're gonna have to get
yeah,
him on the show.
yeah. Brendan's a great guy. Really super high vibe human being.
Oh
You
man,
definitely want to go check
unreal.
out Brendan Paradigm Shift. Super, like he does live streams all the time. He actually helped us set up all of this kind of stuff. So big shout out to Brendan.
Yeah, thank you,
Brendan's
brother.
also, yeah,
Appreciate it.
thanks, man. And he's also been helping with Chris Wiley's stuff. He's been doing a lot of the heavy lifting and just like huge praise to you, sir. Thank you.
Absolutely, and Sabina as well. So I mentioned earlier we did that live show in December, me and Luke, and actually the show was Sabina's show. She was the host of the show. She's also the owner of the Mom and Caregiver magazine here in London, Ontario, Canada, where we're from. Check that out. It's really cool. It's a very informative magazine for moms and caregivers in the region here.
Hmm.
She does a lot of good things, and her heart's definitely in the right place.
Hmm.
Um, at some point when we get a little further down the line in this journey, you definitely want to get her on as well if she's willing to come on. Hey, Christy Shepard, she's tuned in as too. There you go. We got uh, we got a few more minutes here. If anybody has any questions, fire away. Um, Luke, I want to thank you for doing this with me, man. I think this is going to be really great.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. We all really yeah. I really appreciate this, and I'll never forget. It was just a minute or a couple minutes after midnight. Um, striking in the new year 2020, and my phone rings, and it's Ryan, and it's kind of where all of this started, and it's been a crazy few months to say the least, and
yeah,
we're definitely just getting started here, guys. Like,
yeah.
this is you definitely want to share this out. If
Yes,
this
please.
resonates with you, share it out, like it, tell your friends, invite them to the page, Be a Better Human. It's, I believe, Facebook / Be a Better Human today.
That's right.
And you'll find both of our pictures on there. And definitely engage privately or publicly. We invite you to be involved and be a part of this as like this is as much for us as it is for anybody to figure out how we can be a better human and how we could better serve the community and how we can better serve humanity as a whole. So anything that is on your mind that you'd like to share with us now, feel free to share. Otherwise, Brendan says, thanks, guys. Yeah, every little action matters. Ripples create waves. We are doing it together, and that reminds me of it's something that struck me that I was out for a little walk with my partner Anna and our son who's just he's going to be 2 in June. His name's John. And we were walking and keeping our distance from everyone, of course. But we walked by a window, or we walked by a house, and in the window was a big poster, and it said, like, it was clearly some younger kids had created this, and it was just posted right in the front bay window. We're all in this together, and it was very colorful and very uplifting, and I like that's the whole that's the whole thing. Like, we're in this together. We're like, it's clear that they're focusing on the right things, and like there's like these are trying times. Like, we're some people are really isolated and alone right now, and of course we're trying to reach out to all those people, and also there's people who are isolating with their families, and that could be challenging. There are a lot of challenges with a big pivot and a big change of pace. So, like some really good friends of mine who may or may not be on the stream watching live right now, super high vibe people. Uh, they're having their challenges too. Like, we're not saying that any of this is going to be easy, but if we remain positive and we remain focused and connected and have love and empathy at the forefront, then we can get through any of this. We can, I really see this thing starting to get better and better and better as we go here. The whole situation around the world is just going to get better and better because it is kind of forcing everyone to step back, take a bit of a break, take a breather, reassess. It's shedding some light on some shortcomings that we've not been ready for, and it's allowed us a, a breather and a timeout to really reflect at what we're doing and who our friends are and who our community is. And these are extremely important right now. And I really implore you to really be creative, really, like if you're sitting at home bored, like Ryan said, like there's so much that we can do right now. Instead of just consuming, be creating. Like this is one of the big things
Yeah.
that we're working on right now is just really try to it's like, the adage of um, you know make more than you spend, create more than you consume. That'll
Absolutely.
be,
That's
something
a great
that
one.
all of us can do.
Absolutely. That's a great one. And one of the things, Luke, that I know we were going to touch on, we can do a little Cole's notes of it right now, just
Hmm.
before we head out, for people so they can have a takeaway until the next episode. I just wanted to because there was a few people who reached out and said, give me some tips. As you can see, I've been drinking a tea here.
Hmm.
Um, and I actually didn't have coffee today for like the first time in ever. But anyway, um, it's a keto thing. So, well, I guess there's lots of people that have coffee every day. But anyway, peppermint tea. I don't know if you can see that peppermint tea. Yeah.
Hmm.
So peppermint. Um, if you got some sniffles, um, if you think that you're getting cold, if you think that you're um, God forbid, getting pneumonia, um, eucalyptus, peppermint are key. So get some peppermint tea. Luke, you're actually using peppermint oil, right? You're
Hmm.
diffusing oil,
Yeah,
right?
right now I'm diffusing the I have the tea, and then I have a quite a heavy dose of peppermint being diffused right now, and um, it's
Leave some on the
amazing.
shelf for me. um, yeah, you don't need to hoard it, guys. I mean, just I would say, if you're a tea drinker anyway, just maybe shift to having a peppermint tea every once in a while. Um, but peppermint is key. Eucalyptus, I know, Luke, you've done a little bit of research on eucalyptus and collagen. Um,
Yeah,
so yeah,
time is also a really good tea right now. Like especially if you have
yes,
a cold or anything going on with your chest, a good thyme tea is really good. That was suggested by a good friend of mine, Dustin, who works at Homeopathy London in the market, the Covent
yes,
Garden Market downtown. Another excellent place to go. Really,
one hundred
really,
percent.
really knowledgeable people there, and
Yeah,
you
any of
know,
our local folks in London, check them out. Do they have a website? Homeopathy.
I don't believe they do that. They're on Instagram. They're on
Yeah, they're on
Instagram. They
Instagram.
they're
Shoot
posting
them a
all the
message.
time. It's a little quieter now because the market's closed till I believe April 2nd. Don't quote me on that. It might be open, I guess, whatever Monday is.
We'll see if we can
Um,
get him on the show at some point too, maybe.
yeah, he would be definitely a good guy to get on the show. And speaking to that, if anyone knows of someone they'd like to see on the show, or a group of people they'd like to see on the show, definitely hit us up. Throw something in the comment below. Hit us up in private, and like we're definitely, like we're kind of planning on doing this, at least a few times a week. This will be a thing that we're consistent on. We're we're open to different times and stuff like that right now, just because we both have young kids at home, and we're trying to be really supportive with the family at this point. So 9 o'clock is working well for us right now, but weekends may be different. So we'll maybe talk about different times, and like all of this stuff is going to be archived and stuff like that. So you can watch later. You can watch back to, we've been going for about just over an hour now. So um, you know,
Yeah,
and we're
absolutely.
just getting started.
We'll get into some more on the next episode. We want to talk about different vitamins, different vitamins and minerals and things that you should be supplementing with right now to build your immune system. So how about we do that, Luke? How about we make the next episode about your immune system and sort of building up your immune system and that.
Yeah,
Um,
we'll cover practical steps that we can all take. That it none of this stuff is real expensive, and like obviously right now, well, we our industry is completely shut down, as you can imagine. The live entertainment industry is that was an abrupt stop, and so we're all trying to run a tight ship here. So we're not trying to sell anything. We're not trying to, we don't have affiliate links or anything like that. We just, basic stuff: vitamin C, magnesium, vitamin D. Vitamin D, I've definitely heard some, maybe avoiding it at this point, just for a little bit till the jury's
till
out
the
on it.
research comes back. Yeah.
Yeah, and
There's some people sliding either way on the vitamin D for sure. I've
yeah,
heard
so
some.
there's a lot of subtleties, and we'll line up a bunch of sources and stuff like that, and if anyone does have some really good sources on supplements and vitamins and different minerals and foods and stuff like that, if they want us to have a look at it and talk about it, or if anyone does have questions, again, we're not medical professionals or doctors, but we're well researched, and all we can do is tell you what we're doing. None of this, like, we're not suggesting anything to anyone. We're just telling you what we're doing, what works for us.
Yeah,
Like,
give it a go. Try
yeah,
it out. And if it works for you, hey man, that's what
yeah,
we're here to do. We're here to try and help. Brendan said the key to navigating this life is being able to get familiar with being in your heart, which is awesome. That is exactly what we're trying to say with both of our analogies there.
mhm.
Um, which is why things like mindfulness is so important, um, and are going to become more essential in the community as a collective moving forward. Yeah, so true. Um,
Well, maybe we can get Brendan on at some point. He leads meditations. I've seen him, I think, pretty much every morning leading meditations, and I know it's something I'd like to build into my routine a little more consistently, and good friend Justin Darling is world class trainer, among many other things. Maybe we can convince Justin to get on and help us all with home workouts and different movements and different techniques that we can do. Definitely go check out Justin Darling. I believe he's doing some remote work. Forgive me if I'm mistaken there, but he's a huge resource. In terms of not only movement and exercise and stuff like that, but he's also extremely high vibe, extremely well knowledgeable, extremely intelligent, and he's got a super amazing family, and Leslie with oh geez, what's the maybe Jessica can drop the name of her sweaty successful moms. I just had to look down. That's where it was. I just had to access that memory. It was just down there.
There you go.
Sweaty successful moms. They're amazing stuff. Like really high vibe, family oriented, and like especially right now, like we all need the support. We all need help, and we all need our tribe and our community, and
Absolutely.
like there's some really really high vibe people in the stream right now. So like shout out to everyone.
Yeah,
um
thank you everybody for tuning
yeah,
in. We
yeah, yeah.
appreciate your time, and look forward to the next episode, Luke. Thanks so much for doing this with me, man.
Yeah, man, I'm super excited to get this rolling, and we're just getting started here, guys.
Absolutely. All right, and we'll put out some messages on Facebook to let you guys know who and when will the next episodes will be coming up. Make sure that we get a couple in this coming week for sure, and we'll announce who will be on the show with us. And look forward to seeing you then, Luke. Thanks so much, everybody. Thank you for tuning in.
Thanks,
Be
guys.
a Better Human, episode 1.
All
Take care,
right,
everyone.
bye.
Bye now.